How many want to be called a racist? No one. How many want to be an anti-racist? Everyone. That's why it's in the Chicago elementary schools. But do you know what it means after you've signed on the document? Then we'll find out what's in the bill. Critical race theory, finally a definition. One of many, but from one of the originators, one of the founding members, Richard Delgado and Jean Stefanczyk. So Delgado was in the beginning. In his book, their book, Critical Race Theory and Introduction, pages 2 and 3, the critical race movement. Now, stop right there. Remember, theory, theos, God. It's an attempt to explain the phenomenon. Movement is not theory. But this is consistent with Marx, who didn't want to simply interpret the world, but to change the world. It was built on a theology of hope and change. The critical race movement is a collection of activists and scholars interested in studying and transforming relationships among race, racism, and power. The movement considers many of the same issues that conventional civil rights and ethnic studies discourses take up, but places them in a broader perspective. Unlike traditional civil rights, Martin Luther King and others, which embraces incrementalism, there was progress and step-by-step progress. Critical race theory questions the very foundations of the liberal order, including equality theory, legal reasoning, Enlightenment rationalism, and neutral principles of constitutional law. It was started by Derek Bell at Harvard, a black scholar in critical legal studies. There's that word critical again. And his doctoral student, Kimberly Crenshaw, who coined the term intersectionality, who wrote the book or the article Mapping the Margins. That you intersect all these different classes now. It's not just about economic haves and have-nots, but race, class, sex, gender, ethnicity, nationality, ability, religion, and so forth. Ibram Kendi, the high priest of critical race theory, spoke at Purdue earlier this year. And I remember him saying, as I attended the lecture, there is a racial component in everything. Some white guy came up to the mic and said, I don't know what to do, help me, I feel so guilty. Exactly, as you should, right? There's white privilege, white supremacy, and white guilt now. He says, what do I do? How can I help? And he says, well, if you have a passion about anything, there is a racial component in everything. He says, for example, if you're concerned about climate change predominantly impacts those of the third world, of the people of color. He said everything, and you're starting to see it. It's everywhere. And when I sent the president of Purdue, this was the first speaker in a year of speakers coming in, almost all neo-Marxist speakers. I sent him this quote because he was the former Republican governor of Indiana, and I said, are you really ready for the Kranick School of Business to become anti-capitalist? Here's what this is teaching. Again, you cannot divorce anti-racist ideas from all those other intersecting ideas. Anti-racist policies cannot eliminate class racism without anti-capitalism policies. To truly be anti-racist is to be feminist. Now, half the people in this room, when I said, you want to be anti-racist, raised your hand. Why did you do that? Because I gave you the option. How many want to be a racist? It's worse than being called a rapist today. How many want to be called a racist? No one. How many want to be an anti-racist? Everyone. That's why it's in the Chicago elementary schools. But do you know what it means after you've signed on the document? Then we'll find out what's in the bill. Anti-racist policies cannot eliminate class racism without anti-capitalism policies. To truly be anti-capitalist is to be feminist. To truly be feminist is to be anti-racist. We cannot be anti-racist if we are homophobic or transphobic. To be queer anti-racist is to understand the privileges of my cisgender, of my masculinity, of my heterosexuality, of their intersections. Critical race theory cannot be divorced from all of those other radical viewpoints that have all taken the 1960s stuff and put it on steroids and divorced it from the liberal order. So even Richard Dawkins recently had his Medal of Honor taken away from the Humanist Society. right? And he wondered, how? I'm a neo-atheist. I tried to destroy this worldview. What's going on? I apologize. No. There's no forgiveness here. There's no absolution of sin.